This pilot takes a wicked frontal, flying in the mountains on a hike and fly glider, and I've got a lot to teach you about this. Ready? Here we go.
See ya.
I'm paragliding!
See ya.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here. My name's Ari. I teach high-level paragliding with emotional intelligence and relationship skills. I founded the Paragliding Men's Group to help smart, adventurous men have badass relationships with women who support them and their flying careers. If you're ready to shed the people-pleasing and avoidant conflict dynamics that you have in your relationship and get what you really want, hit the link in the description below. Apply for the Men's Group. This is the last week to apply, so if you've been considering it, if you've been curious, now's your chance. Okay, let's get into this video. This was sent by a viewer in Switzerland. Okay, so he sent two exports from the 360 cam. Let's watch the head cam version first. Okay, he's flying along, beautiful place, shoots. Some screams there. Okay, let's watch the outside cam. Okay, this is probably a little bit more insightful for us. Okay, so as you see, he doesn't have a speed bar on this. He's on a super lightweight advanced harness with a Pi 3 and a front mount reserve. This is a hike and fly. He said that he launched in very strong wind and that he only has like something like 50 flight hours or something. I can't exactly remember. But as you see, the glider shoots really hard and there's minimal brake input on his part. Okay, this is like categorically, he's in over his head here. You need more experience than he has to handle the glider in the conditions that he's flying in. And this is something that gets a lot of intermediate pilots. You get a little bit of experience under your belt, and then at some point you fly in stronger and stronger conditions. You kind of push it when otherwise you shouldn't. You know, you can also see here that his riser is improperly mounted. The speed bar is mounted backwards. It should be half twisted to the outside. So these are kind of signs that he is in fact in over his head. The glider pitches forward. It gives him all kinds of indications as, right? It's like behind him here and then rolls forward and shoots and then it collapses and he goes into free fall, which looks really scary and provides some pretty amazing screen grabs. So I won't talk to you too much about how to prevent this kind of collapse and how to active pilot because I talk so much about that in so many other collapse videos. What I will say is that this is a bit of intermediate syndrome where you just don't know what you don't know. And I want to help you understand this in general. There's just some physics involved with paragliding that the turbulence works with a square law. And this is not something, I'm not a mathematician or a physicist, but I do know that when you double the wind speed, you quadruple the force of the turbulence. You quadruple the force of the wind, and you also quadruple the force of the turbulence. So if you're flying in a 10 kilometer an hour breeze and it picks up to 20 kilometers an hour. Now the turbulence is not just double, it's actually 4 times as strong. And the main takeaway from knowing this is that you really want to be very careful with what kind of wind speed you allow yourself to fly in. Even me, I have had almost 120 kilometer an hour ground speeds on my E&D two-liner flying here in Oregon, and have flown in some really strong winds, and I do my best to stay out of winds that are too strong because the air can just be so sharp and have such strong turbulence in it that it can just take the glider away from you without any notice and without you having any real recourse. There is air out there that no pilot can fly a paraglider through, and you have to know that. So as you're learning, you really want to shrink your window of tolerance to how much wind are you allowing yourself to fly in. In this case, he'd flown here many times, and this was a strong wind takeoff. And in hindsight, it probably would have been better to walk down this day and wait for some day that had less wind. This seems so simple and so obvious, but this is kind of, this is the really sharp end of emotional intelligence, self-knowledge, and really having restraint and maturity as a pilot. So many of us are learning to paraglide as adults. I learned to ski as a child. And so now as an adult, the things that I learned skiing are so deeply in my body, and I'm so comfortable in so many different situations and have an intuition about conditions and all these things that I don't have in paragliding. And in paragliding, I really have to supplement my experience with my cognitive mind and also my deepest emotional maturity and just staying really connected to the things that are on the ground that mean so much to me, because I really don't want to lose my life paragliding. As much as I try to understand and control the risks and be conscious about it, I'm still not trying to die paragliding. And so every flight is the most important flight of my life. So if I have to walk down from one, then I will. And I'm not the safest guy out there. And I have had more close calls than I want. So I just want to help you have, there's so many times where we worry about each other and we want to instill in each other this restraint and this care and this caution. And wind speed is something that you really want to be afraid of, even late in the evening, even if the conditions are soft and they're smooth, but they're strong. Until you're really confident that you know how to handle the glider and keep it open in strong turbulence, then you want to avoid those conditions. That's why you can go to Lake Garda and you can go to, your local lake where they'll tow you up and you can train SIV, and then you can make progressive steps into flying in bumpier and bumpier air and train these skills where you can keep the thing open. I hope this is useful for you. Like I said, try to keep yourself grounded, try to keep yourself connected to the things that are on the ground that make your life meaningful, and think about those things before you launch so that you're not just risking your life in vain for a thrill, and that you're actually pursuing paragliding in a way that's meaningful and sustainable for you. Hope this is useful. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the next episode.